Hi, my name is Ricky, and I am a pilot and entrepreneur. Welcome to the Positive Rate Aviation Podcast. Here, we aim to lead others to climb to their full potential through the lens of aviation. Join us as we navigate the skies of personal development, leadership, and success, drawing inspiration from the principles that guide aviators to soar higher and further. Whether you're a seasoned aviator or someone who's reaching for new heights in life and career, prepare for a journey where every episode promises to uplift and to inspire you to take control of your own success. Thanks for watching. Hey, hello, Positive Rate family. We are back for episode 10 of the Positive Rate Aviation Podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Skinner, and today I'm joined by my guest, Kat Charnel. Kat, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, doing good. This is an exciting holiday-themed episode. Shooting this one, about 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll have something good for the culture and the community to listen to during their commute. Maybe they're going to see family for the holidays, so they're stuck in the airport terminal, or maybe they're driving somewhere and they'll be able to kind of tune in and we can drop some knowledge on them.
Yes. Happy holidays. Happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all the holidays. Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah. Happy holidays to everybody. Thank y'all for watching. With Kat, what we'll do first is, if you don't mind, just for everybody, watching or listening, just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you currently got going on in your day to day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy we got to sit down. Again, I'm Kat Charnel, everyone. I'm from Massachusetts. I've been living in Atlanta for the last 14 years. I came to Atlanta to come to college. I went to Clark Atlanta University, CAU, everybody. If you don't know, it's a thing that we do. But currently, I am a full-time flight instructor as well as a full-time high school teacher. And I'm having the blessed opportunity to teach people in the sky and on the ground about aviation and about becoming, at a minimum, a private pilot. But I teach private pilot students, instrument students, commercial students, and when I reach my 2-year mark, I'll be teaching CFI students.
Wow. Okay. Dang. So there's some specific things on that too, right? To teach CFI, like you have to have a certain pass rate or something like that?
Not necessarily. In order to teach the CFI initial, so depending on what the student is getting. So if they're a commercial pilot that wants to get their CFII first, it's not, if it's that person's first rating, that CFI teaching them has to have 2 years under their belt. It's just a rule. I don't know where it comes from. So those students that are trying to get their CFI initial, like just flight instructor, certified flight instructor, I need to have, as the CFI teaching them, 2 years under my belt. And that'll be April of next year.
Okay. So you said something interesting just now. Let me make sure I understood you correctly. So you could actually go from being a commercial pilot and get your II
first.
As your really?
Yeah. If you get your II first, I can instruct you for your CFI because you already have an initial CFI rating. So some people do certified instructor instrument first. I've heard that it makes sense for some people to try to make the initial check ride a little easier by getting the CFII first. I don't see personally how it makes that check ride easier. I think the examiner, the designated pilot examiner, can still make that check ride as hard as they want it to be. So
right. So I've never heard that. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yes, and yeah, that's what a lot of people do. Like some people also, when you think of your commercial rating, right? You think get your commercial single engine. Some people would prefer to get their multi-engine commercial first. It's way more expensive. But if they do that, they'll have lots of hours in a multi-engine. Now, the affordability of it is not, it's something at my price range. I could never have afforded that. So I got my commercial single engine first and added on the multi. But you could do multi first and add on the single.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm at right now. Is got the commercial single and then trying to finish up the commercial multi.
Mm.
Um, so with the double I doing that first, do you know anyone personally who's done that?
Yes, I know somebody
Really?
who's done that. And because they did that, I can train them for just CFI. So they'll be in the right seat, I'll be in the left seat, pretending to be the student. And as long as they feel comfortable teaching and the ground or their oral for their check ride should be easier, essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Oh,
preparing them for the required lessons they would do on that check ride. But
man.
apparently, doing it that way, the DPE can opt to skip fundamentals of instruction,
Right.
which is one of the harder lessons to teach when you're
Yeah.
doing CFI.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. You just made me think about something. I might actually consider going that route. I didn't even know that was available to me. I might
Think
try to get
about
my double
it.
I first.
Think
I can
about it.
avoid. I might be able to avoid that private instruction, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's a topic for another day.
you'll still
Okay.
need a CFI with 2 years. That's the one thing. It's like I cannot wait till I have 2 years under my belt.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be here before you know it, though. It's like everything else. You know, you wake up one day and you look back, and you're like, man, I can't believe I've done all these things. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. Um. Okay, so let's talk about your why. So, why aviation? How did you kind of get exposed to it? What brought you, essentially to this point where you are now?
Okay. So, prior to working in aviation, I was an area recruiter for a logistics company. And my degree at Clark Atlanta was business administration, and I concentrated in supply chain management. So I always wanted to work in transportation. So the logistics company I thought was going to be great. My goal was to be a CEO. So I wanted to climb the corporate ladder. And then working in corporate America, I realized like I actually hate being at a desk. I hate being at a cubicle. Like I hate just being stuck in front of a computer so much all the time and like not feeling like I'm getting anywhere. The upward mobility was not there. I could move laterally, but I couldn't like climb a ladder. So
Right.
I had a few friends that were flight attendants, and I just saw them traveling the world and smiling all the time at work. And I didn't work with a lot of people. I was the only recruiter in my area, covered 8 states, and I was like, wow, I don't really have a lot of human connection. So I luckily got a position as a flight attendant back in 2016, March. And I remember I had left my corporate position, and probably like 5 to 6 months later, I was in flight attendant training. So I was pretty
Wow.
lucky.
Yeah.
So, working on the plane, one, for people that like don't like flying and are not comfortable flying, get in a plane more often because I actually thought I was probably going to be the worst flight attendant because I wasn't that great of a flyer. I didn't have a lot of flying under my belt. The first time I flew in a commercial airplane was when I was 18. Most people fly when they're kids. I never flew. So I was like, wow, I actually like this. I'm getting comfortable because you're in the plane all the time. Like your office is the sky. You just like, that's what you do. And then with flight attendants, we walk the cabin a lot. So
Yeah.
I got my air legs pretty quickly because I worked a lot. And I just started asking the pilots questions about what it would take to, work up there. I thought you had to be a genius. And I did. I was like, I think you have to be a genius. And then um, a pilot that took us to Amsterdam one time, she was a woman, and I didn't see a lot of women flying. And I was like, how did you get started? She's like, oh, I used to be a flight attendant.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, really? She's like, yeah. I actually went to flight training when 9/11 happened because they furloughed me. I was like, well, how'd you know it was going to pick back up? She's like, it always does. The aviation industry does all this. It's a roller coaster. So I had the support. I went to flight training. I got furloughed, and it worked out. And she was flying the 7.6, and that's a pretty big aircraft. I was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like, wow. She just inspired me to be like, okay. She's like, you think you're not smart enough and you have a bachelor's degree. She's like, women, we tend to think that we're not, we can't do things and we don't even try. So let's like change that. And I did my discovery flight and it was just, I just kept going.
Never look back.
Never look back.
Okay. So you talked about, you started off corporate America, transitioned to becoming a flight attendant, which of course ultimately led you to where you are now.
Yeah.
So like, how did that experience as a flight attendant shape your perspective on like the aviation industry? And then like you kind of carry a lot of that with you now.
Yeah. Being a flight attendant is what makes me a better pilot.
Okay.
I think flight attendants make the best pilots because our training is emergency management. So we've always had the mind frame of if something happens, what do we do? If there's this situation, what do we do? We always were thinking about how to adjust for a bad situation. And being a pilot is kind of like that too in my mind, where it's like I always have to keep an emergency in mind and I always have to know what to do in a situation that, this is a risky business. This is really scary sometimes. So how would I survive in so many situations? Even the way you live, like people don't realize that the flight attendant and pilot careers are very similar as living on the road. Some people can't handle like being away a lot. I understand that 100% because I did it. And we were going to the same hotels. We had similar layovers. So I don't think I would be as good as a pilot if I wasn't a flight attendant prior to.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny because you're the first person I've actually heard put it that way, but it makes perfect sense, right? You know what I mean? Like literally, every time you go to the airport, you're traveling, you see the pilots and the flight attendants kind of walking almost in unison, right? They all got the little rolly bags.
That's
and they're all
right.
Kind
That
of,
was our
walking
life.
together.
There are crew members. We're in-flight crew,
Right.
And in-flight crew, we work different cabins of the plane, right? They work the flight deck, we work the main cabin and everything like that. And we have our emergency equipment that we need to check. We have our pre-flight checks. We have so many things that are so similar. We use the same wording. I know the acronyms because I was a flight attendant. And the way I live is so similar to how a pilot lives.
Right.
It's not a culture shock for me to be away from home for 3 days or miss a holiday. Like I spent Christmas in Paris before. That might be hard for somebody that never traveled for a living.
Right. On top of the fact that you're also now used to or familiar with reading, FARs, right?
Yes.
Aviation regulations.
Yes.
So, dang, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So as far as your, where you are present day, talk a little bit about, maybe some challenges of juggling, these multiple roles as you said, a teacher, a flight instructor, and then also a business owner.
Yeah. The challenge is I have to push myself every day to accomplish a lot of different goals. I didn't mention this before, but luckily for me, I am trying to expand my aviation background and career where I'm a team member of FAST, the FAA safety team. So I promote aviation safety to everybody. So I want that to be a really big portal to me continuing to push aviation careers with melanated aviators. Like we need to think of safety. We need more people to survive accidents. We need more people to not even put themselves in positions where they would hurt themselves or get hurt or hurt anybody else. So I have a lot of different events that I need to do in the upcoming year. I plan on doing multiple wings classes throughout the year next year, as well as promoting melanated aviators and the push for more people that come from all different backgrounds and walks of life to look into careers in aviation. I'm also in OBAP. I became an assistant director of Southeast region. So we're going to be pushing people to join OBAC and come to events. And it doesn't just have to be people that are interested in being a pilot, just people that want to be in the aviation industry. The networking is amazing, and you get to meet so many people. So there's more events to come. 2025 is going to be like, you're going to see a lot of different events. Get ready.
Yeah. Positive Rate's going to be in the building for sure.
Good. Definitely. Please come.
So let's talk about those two things you mentioned, because for the masses and even myself, admittedly, who may not be as familiar, how do you actually join and get to be part of these organizations? So I'm somewhat familiar with the FAST team. So, I've gone online and taken some training events.
Yes.
Done some computer-based training, and you get these certs. But like in your position, like how did you get to become an actual, I guess, team member? Like how does that work?
So with the FAA safety team, wings, anybody who is maintenance or pilot should have a wings account. And that wings account, you should be looking at the online training, like you said, and completing as much online training. And as a pilot or as a mechanic, work with someone who's an instructor that can give you wings credit for the flying that you do. There's a wings credit for takeoff and landings. I'm pretty sure you've done takeoff and landings. And as long as your instructor is a part of wings and can give you your credit for completing all the tasks that are on the task sheet, that's wings credit. If you get 6 wings credits, you don't have to do a biannual review. And a lot of people don't know that because they're not keeping up with doing at least, I would say, a task a month.
Right.
And continuing with the online training. So you want the credits. You want to be able to collect all those credits and skip doing a biannual review. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So becoming a FAST team member for me, I just inquired about it. I got the information. I met the director. Hey, Jim, he's awesome. And he got me into training. And now I am just following his lead and trying to sign up for as many opportunities to present safety information. I like promoting safety. I'm somebody that's a boring pilot. I'm not into the acrobatics. I'm into take off, cruise, and land.
Yeah. You were made for the airline life.
I'm not with that. I'm with the how can we always be prepared for every single situation.
Right.
And with OBAP, man, I have been a member and then not a member, then a member, then not a member. OBAP's been a part of my life a lot because I like to do a lot of their volunteer events because we go to elementary schools and the they're just so sweet and lovely.
Yeah.
And we really do push aviation to so many different places that wouldn't see it if we didn't do it. So I've done as much volunteer work as I could with OBAP. I've been to the conference recently. It was amazing. It was like, if you can think of the biggest Black networking event in aviation in the world,
that's it.
That's OBAP.
Okay.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
The conference was insane.
Where did you have it this year? Was it Memphis?
Memphis.
Yeah, okay.
I had a blast. It was so good. I met so many good people, and I didn't realize that having melanated aviators and like networking with people just on my own thing.
Yeah.
I would see so many people that I knew. I was like, wow, I know some people.
Is it like people that you see online and you finally saw them in person?
Yes.
It was like, whoa, that's
it was
crazy.
So many people. And I was just like, hi, oh my God. It's like, you're a human. Hey, come over here.
Yeah, you are real.
It was cool. It was really cool. And with the becoming an assistant director of the Southeast region, I think the process was really, really professional. Like, we had an interview, we had video interview. It was really set up to be like a job. Like, I feel like I'm in a career with OBAP now. Like, I can move up with this.
Yeah.
So,
is that a one-day event or is that multiple day?
So, with the conference, it was multiple days.
Okay.
4 days, I believe, 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
And there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that you do. There's always the career fair throughout the day, and then there's different organizations coming together. The FAA had a meetings. All the airlines have meetings, and you sign up for different classes, courses, whatever you want to call it, presentations.
Yeah.
There were luncheons. There's a gala. There was nightly outings that they had. It was amazing. And I want I wanted to do the assistant director position to promote membership because I'm a networker. I like to talk to people. I like to meet people.
Mhm.
So I want more and more people to join and come to the conference so that we all can be together in one big room.
Yeah. Well, when and where will it be next year?
Tacoma, Washington.
Okay. Haven't been to that part of the country in a minute.
I
All
think
right.
it's gonna be weird. I was
Yeah.
thinking like I might have to buy a flight because that's a far one. Memphis, I could just
Yeah.
shoot over.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because I've been half the instructors at my flight school were actually at OBAP this year. They've been telling me like, man, you got to get there. You got to get there. So I that is a priority for me next year because
Yeah.
I'm big on, like you mentioned, with networking. I'm the same way. As we've all heard from the time we were, yay high, man. More often than
Yes.
not, it's who you know, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm all about.
And another organization that really I've been forgetting to mention that pushed me to just like not give up because I have quit in my mind a couple times because it was really, really hard was
Hmm.
Sisters of the Skies. My mentor, Stephanie Grant. Hey, mama. Um, I've called her crying my eyes out. Like, I don't know if being a pilot is for me. And she's just like, you're just going through a period where it's so unfamiliar and you have to get used to it. So I think 2019, the Sister of the Sky's first gala, that was my first time seeing a black female pilot. And not only that, there were 50 of them.
Mm.
So I was like, it's scary. It was so many of them. I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've just been, there's been so many good influences on me in the beginning to be like, just keep going, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I'm a
So when
member.
you so why did you say that you almost quit, or yeah, you quit in your mind
Ooh,
from? Did you mean from aviation or from Sisters of the Skies?
from being a pilot,
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
training.
Okay, training. Yeah,
People don't realize this, but you start and you go, oh, it's not that bad. You just have to learn how to maneuver the plane. And then you get that down and you get your private, and it's like, oh, good, I know how to fly. And then you get to instrument, and it's like, I don't know how to fly at all.
yeah,
I am terrible. I can't
yeah,
keep this plane straight and level. I cannot keep a heading. I can't not, like look at all the instruments and see what's going on. And I am a mess.
hmm,
And I was flying with a friend, and he was just like, oh my God. He was just like, you're a wreck. Prior to that, though, I hadn't flown in months. So then I started flying with the Delta pilot, and he started me from the beginning. He basically made me a private pilot again, and he wanted me to get that down and then start instrument. And at first, I thought it was the worst thing in the world, but it ended up being the best thing for me since now instrument flying is so good
yeah,
for me, you know.
yeah,
So um I really considered work when I got to instrument, like, oh my God, I don't think I know what I'm doing, you know. I
yeah.
just hated it.
It's a lot of
So
information. It's so much information too.
yeah. So
Compared to the private where it's like stick and rudder, right? And then now
mhm.
instrument is not so much that, but it's just like we're gonna feed you this fire hose of information,
Yeah.
learn it quickly, and then now you have to apply it all.
Yeah. It
Oh,
was just precision flying.
yes.
And my instructor, they didn't want me to be, you have up to what, 100 feet? I couldn't be 30 feet off.
Okay.
And if you practice like that, you
Hmm.
can't be 20 to 30 feet off. You'll never get close to being 100 feet off.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because if you think about it, 100 feet is actually pretty generous.
Yeah. You shouldn't be off.
Yeah, you definitely should never be off. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So
Real quick before we move on, I just want to touch on the OBAP and fasting one last time. So OBAP for any newbies that may be watching this, OBAP, it's what is that? Organization Black Aerospace Professionals.
yes.
Okay, so what that stands for, so y'all can look them up online and
OBAP.org.
OBAP.org. Okay, and we're lucky enough to have the assistant director of the is it Southeastern?
Yeah,
Okay,
Southeast region.
Southeast region. So I'm actually going to be applying after this because I need to
Nice.
join. I need to
Come
join and
on.
be a part. So I got my plug right here. So
Yes.
okay.
And when you
And then,
join, you're going to start getting information on how to volunteer. And you can sign up. And when there's volunteer events near you, you can just sign up and do it. And it's usually a lot of schools. And I love that.
yeah, okay. And then the other question I had as far as the fast team, so that doesn't require any certain. You don't have to have specific qualifications. You can literally just contact them and say, "Hey, I want to get involved."
Yeah. I think, I don't want to be wrong. You might have to be a private pilot.
Private, okay.
But I might be wrong about that. But I don't think there's any. I don't think you have to be a CFI. I just think you have to hold some type of FAA cert or mechanic.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's real quick. I want to go back to the flight attendant thing. So I know you traveled all the world. You mentioned Amsterdam. You were on a flight on the way to
Yes.
Amsterdam. So you had some unforgettable experiences, I'm sure. So can you share maybe like one or the two or the most memorable like experiences you had during your time as a flight attendant?
Okay. Memorable. And I want to keep it positive, right? Positive rate.
Yeah. Now it could be real though. I mean, it's positive, but we want the real as well.
Okay, I've had some really fun experiences. Like one time, we get what you call reroutes. And when you get a reroute, that means your original flight that you were on, you've been moved. And one of them for me was to go to Puerto Rico. So I got to lay on the beach in San Juan for like 20 hours.
Okay.
And that was fun. Paris, Christmas in Paris was fun too. I got to go out with the crew. Everything was open during Christmas there. So like,
wow.
Even though I guess it's an American holiday, but we was at a restaurant for hours, drinking, partying. It was just like a time. It was
okay. I like that.
What else? I don't know. I think that every trip was exciting. I had some bad trips, of course, because of delays and passengers trying to be crazy. But mostly, I've always had some really good trip. One trip that I was so happy to have done, and I wish I did more of trips like this, is I went to Lagos. And this was right before I was about to go on my leave of absence. So I was just like, I want to go to every international place I can go. Throughout my 6 years of being a flight attendant, I don't think I took advantage of all of the international flying. I just like, I can't believe myself. But yeah, Lagos was amazing. I got my hair braided there. I'm a braids girl. I love getting braids, and I just wanted to get it done in the motherland, and it was so nice.
Yeah.
Amsterdam. I've probably been to Amsterdam so many times to the point that I could walk around Amsterdam by myself and get back to the hotel, and yeah, I'm comfortable there. It's very like everybody walks and rides bikes.
Okay.
It's not like America. Like there's like the little cars.
Yeah. How's the interaction over there with the people? Like, were they warm, like welcoming and receiving, or
they're
compared
cool
to America?
They're not even like trying to be. They're not rude, but they're not like super welcoming. They're just like they can tell you're American, 100%.
Okay.
Especially since all of them have bikes with all trinkets on it, and they really get to work and back on a bike. Right. I'm like, what? Germany was a fun experience for me because I got to go to Christmas market there. So Christmas is big there. And Christmas market was just a big, huge market of food and like decorations, all handmade decorations too. It was like it was amazing.
Wow.
And I got to go to the Mercedes Benz Museum. And I was like,
Okay.
this is interesting. Wow.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
hit the Autobahn at all?
What's Autobahn?
The Autobahn. So the Autobahn is it's like their famous like highway or interstate where there's virtually no speed limit.
I don't think I did that. My
No,
taxi guy, he was chill.
no, it was chilling. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the taxis and Benz is there. It's like,
Wow. Yeah.
hey. That's like, yeah, that's their car.
Yeah, they doing it.
Yeah.
So with the safety thing that you mentioned too, one thing I wanted to ask before we move forward. So obviously a lot of what y'all are doing as flight attendants is safety focused, emergency focused. Were you able to take any of that and apply that to what you're doing now as an instructor?
Oh. I guess it's hard to describe because safety is so ingrained in me. Like a lot of people don't realize when you're in flight attendant training, it's 7.5 weeks for me. And you get like 2 weeks of customer service and like 5 weeks of emergency management where you have to know how to open each door, you have to know how to evacuate the plane in 90 seconds. You watch plane crashes nonstop. Like I was like dreaming about plane crashes in flight attendant training. So that experience pushes me to tell my students as a flight instructor, you have to know your emergency checklist by heart. There's no pulling out and reading it all the time.
That's right.
Right? You have to know it by heart. So I push it and I definitely test them on emergency situations a lot. So I didn't realize that I was like a maniac.
Yeah. Yeah.
Air
So
Disasters, that's my show. If you ever watch,
okay. Yeah.
that's a really good show.
So what do you think makes a great flight instructor? Are there any key skills that people should focus on to help them to develop to become a great instructor?
Yeah, having understanding and patience. When somebody is first learning, they don't know what they don't know. So you have to be understanding. You have to dumb it down to something that they can relate to. And you got to put yourself in their shoes. You got to put it in their perspective. For my high school kids, they will tell you that I go, so what is the point sometimes of me telling you something if you're just going to forget?
Yeah.
Literally say it and you forget the next second. So I have I can't even talk. I have to have so much patience and go, okay, if you don't understand it this way, let me switch it up. Okay. Now let me pose the question to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to put it in the other person's mind. What can I relate something to what they know so they can understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we are humans that learn based off our own experiences. So if this person hasn't experienced something like this, how can I make it so relatable to something they've done before so they can understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So
and you have a very unique perspective too, given the fact that you are teaching, aviation in high school as well as instructing. So my question is, you just made me think about this when you talk about having to say something and then forgetting it 2 seconds later. How much different is it teaching like kids, high school students versus like adult learners? Like, do you notice that? Because adults, we don't always have it all together either, right? And sometimes you might have some adults that think they know everything. You can't tell them nothing. So talk to me a little bit about that. How do you kind of compare those two, or compare and contrast those two experiences?
What's so funny is hard to not understand, right? You think an adult would understand better than a high school student, a kid.
Right.
It's almost the same. It's like not that different. I'd be talking to adults and they're like, what? I'm like, you have more life experience than this child. Why are you not getting it? But no, I think with adults, I'm more relatable to them. So I find more things that I can be like, okay, so when we think about this, compare it to this. And they're like, oh, okay. With kids, they're the new generation. So I have to think of things that they're accustomed to right now, which is totally different from how I grew up. We grew up with dial-up internet at first, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
then it eventually became what it is now. So
Right.
I'm just like right in the middle. So I have to. There are two different comparisons, but I still have to make a lot of different comparisons to get people to get the whole idea of things. Um, uh, if I could think of like my high school kids versus like even people my age,
Yeah.
I still go, okay, let me just like let me think of something else. Let me think of something else.
Yeah.
Because it's common sense, right? It's a common sense thing. Everybody's common sense scale is a
Yeah.
little different.
It might not all be common.
No,
Yeah.
it is not common. Because when I try to get people to like think outside the box a little bit, in certain aspects, yeah, they're fine at it. But then another aspect, I'm like, well, if you like took pictures of the times for the plane, right? Don't you think that you would like know to like put those times somewhere?
You talking about like the Hobbs?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like where are you
Yeah.
gonna, you took pictures of it, so where would you put the times? And they're like, oh,
Now is that more so an issue with the adults as opposed to the kids? Because of course the kids, they always got their phones, right? So that's the
yes.
first thing they refer to.
I just think with everyone, you have to show them every little thing. And it can get really time consuming as a flight instructor. They don't realize there's a lot of time that you don't really get paid, that I have to show you every little thing. Because if I don't show you, you're going to say, oh, I didn't know.
Right.
And it's instead of like looking for the answer.
Right. Yeah.
And
I'm going through FOI now, and
mm-hmm.
one of the biggest takeaways like I've had in this experience as we wrap this up this class this week that I'm in is you can't ever assume that they know anything.
No.
Right.
Yes.
And shout out and thank you to all my instructors for all the patience y'all had with me, because hey, like I said, adults, we don't have it all figured out either, because I look back on some of the questions I would ask, and there's things I just wasn't getting, and I know it was tough, man, and I know that they had to like bite their tongue and afterwards probably like, man, this idiot, you know. So thank you to y'all, man, for your patience, and it's on us to pay that forward, right? As we become instructors, and to exercise that same level of patience with our students.
That's the biggest thing. We have to be patient, because we have to be understanding of someone really trying to know the information. They're trying. So I give that to my Moral High School. Hey, kids. I have to give it to them. They work hard and they try.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for. You know what I mean? It's for that effort. Now, of course, kids or adults, I'm sure you've had your fair share of experience with students that maybe they didn't try. Maybe that level of effort wasn't there. They showed up to a flight lesson and you gave them homework. You said, hey, next time we come back, we're going to talk about, I don't know, whatever topic, right? And then you show up and then you're like, hey, so what'd you learn about this? And they're like, nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. I had a high school student walk up and say, I said, what did you do to prepare for our lesson today? Nothing. I said, okay, let's go back. And that's when you teach somebody a lesson. I am not going to, just for the flight hours, talk you through every single step. You know the steps on the ground, so you can do it in the air. So if you don't know it on the ground, what makes you think you're going to know it in the air?
In the air, exactly.
No.
Yeah.
So I taught him a lesson. No, you're not prepared today. Cancel, charge you an hour.
Yeah, but he didn't do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah.
because they want to be coddled and spoon fed, and I'm just not ready to do that. I'm ready for
Yeah.
you to practice,
Yeah.
and you're not able to practice if you're just like, well,
Right.
what's the steps? Why don't you know it?
Yeah. And that's good that you're setting that now because, as you know, and we all know, aviation is definitely not the place where you're going to be spoon fed. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of it is autonomous and
Mm-hmm.
self driven and self motivated, right? So you
Yeah.
got to set that stage and set that precedent early,
Yes.
because if you don't have that now, as you're trying to get a private, by the time you start moving on to commercial and multi CFI, and especially once you start getting to, the ATP level and beyond,
Yeah.
nobody's giving you anything.
No. Don't don't per don't if you don't prepare, you're prepared to fail or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Yeah, man. I
thanks.
think that's what I love. One of the things I love most about being a part of aviation, this industry, is when you meet another pilot or come across another pilot, you may not even know a lot or hardly anything about them personally. But like when you tell me that you're a CFI, CFII, like I have an understanding of how hard and how much work it took you to get to where you are, right?
Yeah.
Even if I come across someone who's just a private pilot, they have my ultimate respect because I know how hard that is.
Yeah.
I know how much discipline it took for them to get that certificate that says that, hey, they can fly a plane. It's like, okay, you got my respect. You know what I mean? And obviously, the further you go, it's more and more. But um, I think that's what's beautiful about what we do and it's probably like that. Now that I think about it, it's probably like that in other fields too,
Yeah.
doctors or what. But for us, man, it's like what makes us special is unlike doctors, you could take a brain surgeon, right? And by no means do I want to disrespect any surgeons or medical professionals out there. But the reason why we are so unique is because we have this grand amount of information that we have to be able to learn, retain, and apply. But the difference between us and everyone else is we have to apply all this when we're, moving 100, 200, 300 knots through the air, right? We're not just standing in a room with our feet firmly planted on the ground. Like we
Yes.
have to apply all of our knowledge while our lives are actively in
At,
danger
mm-hmm.
anytime that we, do what we do.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I love about it.
Yeah. Time is always of the essence.
Absolutely. We are operating, 5 minutes, 10 minutes ahead of, where we actually are at that present time.
Yeah.
When they have to do something, they're doing it in that moment. But, like you said, going back to your thing with instrument flying, right? Like, that if you're, shooting an approach, like you should already have that thing built, briefed, and everything. You shouldn't be reading that plate when you're 2 miles from the field. You shouldn't be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like what's my DA? Like you should have been figured that out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you're getting vectored, like you should already have everything like programmed and ready to go.
Wow.
Otherwise, like you're definitely gonna have a hard time maintaining that 100 feet that we talked about, right?
What?
So yeah, I think I just wanted to throw that out there. Um, let's see here. So yeah, are there any misconceptions that you would say that people have about flight training? Maybe
Um,
some unrealistic expectation.
I think that if you're a person that has really bad time management skills, like you really do have to allocate time to studying and like create plans. So if that's really hard for you, rethink this because you're going to be really stuck if you can't create a plan and execute it. And it'll just take you so much longer. A lot of people don't realize this. Being an airline pilot, you have a retirement age. So
Yeah.
65, consider, am I going to get to the airlines by 40? And if you are, that's perfect, to me, to be able to have 25 years, you know?
Yeah.
Um, do you want to do this for fun? Do you want to learn this to be able to take your family and your friends places? Do you see yourself owning an aircraft one day? Consider everything and do so much research in the beginning on the front end that you set yourself up to be successful by roommate, hey Kim, old roommate, she set herself up for success. And I was looking at her like she's taking so long to start, but it's because she actually created a Excel spreadsheet of exactly how much everything would cost and saved for that. And did more research and figured out how many hours it takes for every single rating. So she had a built out plan and a built out financial plan prior to starting.
Right.
A lot of people don't do that. They start and they have to stop because they don't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a set plan on how you're going to afford it, how many hours it's going to take, what's the knowledge, how many books do you need, what's the cost of the check ride, what's the cost of doing cross countries, what's the cost of splitting time with people, what is the cost of every single thing, down to a plotter and a flight computer and an iPad. If you break it down and you prepare so much in the beginning, you will fly through this. And just giving yourself a timeline. Like I didn't give myself a timeline for anything. So no wonder I just got my ratings when I got them.
You weren't like, hey, I'm going to have this by this date. Yeah.
I didn't write anything out. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
I did not have a financial Excel or Google Sheets, whatever, breakdown of what it was going to cost me and how much money I needed to have for each thing. And then, okay, if I need this much, how much time is it going to take me to save to get to this much or get a scholarship or what have you? You really should break it all down and break it all out. And I feel like she surpassed me, got to the airlines beforehand because she planned.
She had it mapped out.
Yeah.
You said something key too, Kat, that I want to highlight. You talked about the money. So with the whole money aspect, because I have people that talk to me all the time. They find out I'm a pilot. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool.
How do you afford
blah,
it?
blah, 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 blah. Like, how do you afford that? But I think there's two parts to it. There's one, money, and two, time. And obviously you know this better than me as an instructor. But my question to you is, in your experience as an instructor, at what point could you say that someone could, no kidding, afford to take a break? And when I say break, meaning like, okay, fly, I don't know, twice a week, once a week, twice a week. Because in the beginning, obviously, you should be flying as much as humanly possible, because until you get to a certain point, you know, you're going to forget everything and you're going to lose that.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, hey, my advice would be don't start until you can commit fully in terms of your time and, you know, finances. But at what point would you say they need to be able to do this almost every day up until like what hour mark? Roughly.
Well, I would say in the beginning, if you plan it out kind of how I said, where you have a financial plan, a time frame plan, a knowledge plan, study plan, whatever.
Yeah.
Have a really good plan of every single thing and figure out how to get 4 months off of work, have it saved up, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And flight train every day for 4 months. In the beginning, it should be so consistent so you can have everything done for private quick. And then if you want to make instrument a little bit slower because you need so much cross country time, if you want to do all of the requirements for commercial and instrument while you're working on your instrument, you can slow it down then. But in the beginning, it should be consistent, period. The beginning people that aren't consistent are the ones that, like me, have taken so long to complete all their flight training versus the people that got it done quickly because they created a situation where they were off and they could only focus on flight training. I think that the reason, and it's okay, the reason why so many of us, you know, have to take the time is because we have to be able to live and we don't have, you know, support, you know, single, you know, I own my own home. I have to like figure out how to pay for everything on my own. Right. So that's my journey. But if you could do a journey where you could live with your parents or have a roommate, or like condense your expenses to almost zero so that you can just totally put all your money and time. You can finish this in a year and a half.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to cancel everybody out, move everybody out the way, but the first rating should be the most consistent. And then you can, I honestly think all of them should be. But if it's not the case like it was for me, I had to save up. I got scholarships. I had to, pace out
Yeah.
starting
Yeah.
the next rating. Um, was the financial aspect. And I could have saved a lot more too.
Mhm. But
So
like you said, that's life, though, right? I mean, you have to live, and you, as much as you want this, as bad as you want it, obviously you don't. You have. We all talk about making investments, but they have to be smart investments, right? You don't want to
yes,
you can't put yourself in a hole, especially if you got somebody counting on you. Whether
no,
it's a parent, a sibling,
yes,
child, whatever.
yeah,
You got to be smart. So anybody that's watching this that's wanted to get into aviation, everything that's being said here, although true, we are definitely not saying put yourself in any kind of
yeah.
financial bind, but be
This,
prepared.
yeah, the stress of the finances really can stop you from your progress. So if it means that you for a whole year have to save up so you're able to afford it, do that. If
Hmm.
this is really what you want, do it. But everybody makes it work with $0. They
Right.
do. They figure it out.
Yeah. If you want it bad enough, you will make a way. People make a way. People make time, and they allocate money to do what they want to do. Whether it's a Netflix subscription, or they want to go on and take a trip to Miami, or whatever the case may be. They're gonna do what they got to do to get there, right? But how
Exactly.
bad do you want it? What are you willing to sacrifice and give up? Is really what it kind of boils down to.
My college motto, CAU, is find a way or make one. So
Mm,
I'm either gonna find a way or I'm
make a
making
way.
it. And
I
for
like that.
me, I had been working in corporate. I had been working at Delta as a flight attendant, and I emptied out my 401k.
Mm,
Calm. And that might not be the case, be easy for everybody to do, but for me, I felt like I was young enough where I would make it back.
yeah,
I don't care.
yeah. Now, it's interesting you bring that up because I had a conversation with somebody about 2.5 weeks ago. He's you could say a real estate guru, really, really well known. I won't say his name on here, but we had a really good conversation. Um, this guy has a very, very extensive real estate portfolio, but his background, he's a former air traffic controller actually, and he
Nice.
emptied out his 401k and dove headfirst into real estate investing, and now he's got a portfolio of like $100 million in real estate. So I'm glad you said that because that kind of highlights my point with him of like, hey, he chased after what he wanted by doing that. So hey, if you want something bad enough, you'll make it happen,
Yeah.
and put you in a position to be able to do, what you want to do with your time. So that's man, I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah. I did what I had to do.
Yeah, exactly. You made a way. You found a way, and then you made one. I'm gonna use that too. I like that.
Yeah, and the
So
scholarships that I received were very, very amazing. They really set me up to be successful. I'm very grateful. Sisters of the Skies, I love you.
shout them out definitely. Um, all right, so let's kind of keep it rolling with the high school thing real quick. So,
Okay.
what do you think is the most rewarding part of introducing young people to aviation?
Well, I have the esteemed pleasure of teaching high school kids at the school that I work with, and I'm working with middle school and high school kids at ACE too.
Yeah. Okay.
So both of my groups of kids, I just love that I get them started as early as I wanted to start. If I
Hmm.
could go back in time, I would have been a pilot at 17,
Right. Hmm.
because seeing them and their parents push them to be able to get through this very stressful process is it's so rewarding because I want that for my future kids and myself and everybody's kids. If this is really what they want to do, start them off young, so they can get into it. And if at the minimum, they become a private pilot, they can do whatever they want after that. They can keep it going. They can wait. I'm just happy with being able to be a part of their journey to get them through the door. And I think my high school kids know this. I give them a hard time because they tend to be a part of the generation of excuses.
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah.
stop with the excuses and do whatever you have to do to succeed. There's like really no excuse as to why you didn't get things done. You just didn't time manage well, right?
Yep, exactly.
You didn't really put it as a important thing for you. You kind of just like let it slide. And I do that. So that's why I know I can't make excuses. I have to do what I have to do to accomplish what I need to accomplish. So I'm just kind of like the auntie that puts the elbow on the head and goes, I don't care what you got to say.
I ain't trying to hear none of that.
No. Do what you got to do. And let's get this pilot rating. And I want to see you at the airlines, and I want to be able to be like, I trained that person.
Right.
That's my kid. That's my kid. That's my kid. I got all these kids now.
Yep. So with that, it kind of leads into our next question. Do you have any success stories with any of your kids that kind of stands out in your mind?
Well, I've gotten 4 people through their ratings. One of my favorite successes, I'm going to shout out Ebony. She was a student that I acquired from another flight instructor that was like, oh, I'm almost done. And when I got her, I'm like, we're going to go through every single thing. We're going to get you right. And she finished in time to start her instrument training at Middle Georgia. So that was a huge success for me. I mean, she's an adult, but I'm just so happy that she didn't give up and she kept on pushing, and she got her private. She's starting instruments. She's going to Middle Georgia, and she's going to be able to be a student that only needs 1,000 hours to get to the airlines. That's
they got the restricted.
Yes. Yeah. Like I would be at the airlines right now. I have 1,000 and I need 500 more.
Yeah.
So I want my girls to win. I just love that I get to be a part of her story, and she got to work with a Black female pilot. It's not that many of us. It's less than
that don't happen that often.
Yeah. It's less than 1%.
Yeah.
So
wow. Do you know what the percentage is overall of Black pilots in general?
5.
5? Okay. Okay. Man, you'd probably be surprised then if you came to my flight school. You'd probably be shocked because I would say, man, right now, 85% of the instructors are Black.
Good. That's nice.
My flight. Yeah.
That's how it is for me at ACE.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm so comfortable. I'm happy. That's the place I always wanted to work.
Yeah.
And the high school that I work at, we're a Title I school as well. So majority minority students. So I get to be around people that look like me, and I want to develop them into finding a career. It does not necessarily have to be being a pilot, but goodness gracious, keep your grades up. Because I don't be letting them come in my face and they're failing the class. No.
Right.
What college we going to? What scholarships are we looking for? Because y'all parents, love you, but a lot of parents ain't saving up for their kids to go to college.
Yeah.
I know my dad sadly had 7 kids. He couldn't. So we got to find these scholarships, and we got to get you set up to. I don't care if it's a technical school, whatever. What are we doing to save up to pay for it? So so when you graduate, the next step is to go here.
Yep, exactly. And with the scholarship thing too, one thing I want to highlight, because this kind of helped me, and I'm a big proponent of it, man. But there's so much grant money out there.
Yes.
So much. Like I'm telling you, like I don't want to put exact numbers out there, but people will probably be shocked to find out like how much money I've gotten just in grants, and for those of y'all that don't know, maybe high school students, grants are money that if you apply, sometimes there might be, there might be some requirement, like you might have to write an essay or something like that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't even I'm finding grants that's not even required. It's money that they are literally looking to give away. I think it just comes to people taking the time to research it and
Yes.
then taking that initiative to apply.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do that, then man, it's thousands and thousands of dollars that they're literally the government's just looking to give away. So do your research, man. Don't be afraid
Yes.
to do that.
And I need to do more research too for the kids that I really want to see go to college, especially
Yeah.
for aviation. And I really want to push them to other aviation schools that are outside of Georgia too. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. So let's talk about you a little bit as an entrepreneur. So we kind of briefly touched a little bit earlier on melanated aviators. So what and forgive me if you mentioned this before, but what actually inspired you? What was your inspiration for starting your own business? And what is the overarching goal with melanated aviators?
All right. So, I was calling my friend group Melanated Aviators when we would go to like different events, like Sisters of the Skies, the first scholarship gala. Under my little pilot friend group, we had Melanated Aviators, and it might have been Precious that said it first, and I was just like, I love that. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So we just, are a group of people that, happen to have melanin, and we happen to just love aviation. And I always thought the premise for me, just because I started in a different role, is to push all aviation careers to everyone.
Right.
Whether you want to work on the ramp, whether you want to work in dispatch, whether you want to work in ATC, corporate, business, flight attendant. There's just so many different aspects that you can go into just managing an airport, you know? There's small airports that are looking for people to come in and do social media. It's just so many opportunities. So I always studied with groups of people for every single rating. And I'm the person that's going to create the study group and create the Zoom call and create all the ways that we communicate. So I was like, let me put everyone in like this one bubble and say, come on, all melanated aviators, come into this group. Let's network. Let's get together and learn more about different careers, and then bring people that are interested in that to network with you as well. So that's really the premise.
Okay. It's
Yes.
just basically bringing people together.
And more so for me, I was a recruiter when I worked in corporate America. So I was really big on career resumes and like helping people find their careers. So I just basically brought what I did before as an area recruiter to aviation. And I consult people. I help them with their resumes. I help them with different applications. I push them into making their resumes really apply to the position that they're applying for. My goal is to have a resume ebook. If I say it, I'm going to do it. So by 2025, I will have a resume ebook where
it's out there.
where I can help people with their resumes, especially in aviation careers, and what it should look like and how it should flow for the positions that you want.
Okay. Wow, I like that. Okay. So we kind of touched on this before. So aviation, as you know, is kind of it's seen or perceived, and I won't even say perceived. It's historically been a male-dominated field, right? Especially a white male-dominated field. But your experience as a woman in aviation, how do we? I guess what going on with your platform, Melanated Aviators, Sisters of the Sky. But are there any other ways you could see we could promote more diversity in aviation?
Yeah. I've also been a part of the 99s and Women in Aviation, just joining as a member online and going to different events. When it comes to pushing aviation to women, I think there's been like kind of like a really bad campaign, especially with what Candace Owens said about if she sees a woman pilot in the flight deck, she's going to question her ability. The intelligence of a woman is just as good as a man. And we it shouldn't be 2024 where we're still talking about, can you do this position as a woman? It's wild. So that's why I have to be the vision for my students, for other young girls, especially Girls in Aviation Day. That's where Women in Aviation have different events for young girls to see that they can be anything in aviation, especially a pilot. You know, they bring out every single career field for things like that. Sisters of the Skies has Girls Rock Wings, and it's the same thing, but we push it mainly towards young Black girls, African American girls, to show them, yeah, we're less than 1%, but look at us. We're bringing you out. We're going to let you do a discovery flight. We're going to show you what it is to work in ATC at a tower. You're going to do a tower tour. You're going to do a photo shoot in the pilot uniform. You're going to be introduced to different games. You're going to be walking around with an airline pilot the whole day. Like, it disappoints me sometimes that we live in a world where people are so small-minded, and a woman that looks like me would say that, and really just discourage young girls into looking into careers that they can actually do. There's no reason why you would say, oh, just because it's male dominated, it should stay this way. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, no, it is.
So women shouldn't be doctors. They shouldn't be lawyers. They shouldn't be astronauts. They shouldn't be physicians. They shouldn't be nurses. Like, what?
Yeah.
We can do anything.
It's archaic.
Yeah, we can do anything. And I love that I get so much support from males. They say, we need more of y'all. Come on.
Yeah, definitely.
And that comment really disturbed me. It was very disturbing.
Yeah, going back to that Candace Owens comment, I kind of actually, not her specifically, but I kind of touched on that on my last guest that I had on the last podcast I did, when I kind of talked about how the DEI, the diversity, inclusion,
Equity.
right?
Equity
and inclusion, the whole DEI hires, specifically in aviation, because going back to what we said before, but how what we do is so much different, really, in any other field. How ridiculous that is.
Yeah, because people want to act like they don't understand that diversity, equity, and inclusion is a way of hiring, right? It's a practice where we're just going to go to different places that we haven't been before. So we're not only going to go to all the white schools, we're going to go to Black schools too. We're going to go to Asian schools. We're going to go to Hispanic schools. We're going to go to all the schools. It's diversity of thought. It's a diversity of grouping. It's diversity of thinking. Thought and thinking, same thing. Okay. All right. It's diversity of all things, and it does not exclude white males. It's saying that let's bring everybody in.
Exactly.
It's not an exclusion of anything. It's like, we have to be diverse. Our customer base is diverse. Our workforce has to be diverse too.
Right.
And when I look at all of the class dates of all of the airlines, and it being one Black person, do you think that diversity, equity, inclusion hiring is really doing that great? No. They are trying. The goal is to say, I'm going to have better hiring practices. I'm not going to discriminate against anybody due to their name.
Right.
Do you know that people get discriminated against because of their name?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, when they see certain, like, resumes.
Yes. And that's because people don't realize they have biases. You've grown up with certain biases in your life. Your parents, your grandparents, people have taught you certain things, and you may not realize that you're being biased at your job, but you probably are.
Right.
So we're trying to, and as a person that worked in HR as a recruiter, I actually promoted non-biased trainings to teach the people that are hiring people. Don't allow your biases to make hiring decisions. Does the person look qualified? Are their experiences the ones that you're looking for? Skip the name. Look at the qualifications.
Right.
And if my qualifications happen to be better than yours, sir, I'm sorry. They're better. I have more experience, I have more hours, I have more volunteerism.
Right. Yeah.
What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have social skills? Do you know how to communicate with customers? Do you have customer service experience? Were you given every job opportunity that you've received in your life, or did you have to work for it?
Right.
So diversity, equity, inclusion is a better hiring practice. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that I'm a diversity hire.
Right.
It just means that this HR department is not just going to do the same thing that they've been doing the last 50 years. They're going to change it up and find different places where they haven't hired before, and they're going to take advantage of that because there could be some qualified candidates at those places too, remember.
Right. So just to be clear, just so that way for all the viewers, we just want to clear this up. So what you're saying is there's no special DEI check ride.
No.
So on the DEI check ride, you don't have to maintain that 100 feet that we talked about.
It's so funny that in a world where you could kill 300 people, that they would actually hire you just because of the color of your skin. When you've been in history, you've been not hired because of the color of your skin. Why would they switch it? That's
exactly
just stupid.
Yeah, right. We're gonna put this sister up front of this jet so she can kill because 200 white people sitting behind. Like, that's crazy.
That's what they want. No.
Yeah.
You have to be qualified. You have to pass the same check rides. You have to go to the same examiners. You have to pass the same medical exam. You have to be qualified. There's a lot that goes into this, honey. Exactly. So the people, I've heard this from a friend of mine, and it really disturbed me that an examiner she went on a check ride with said that he didn't get hired for the airlines because they were only hiring women.
So the examiner said that to your friend?
Yes, on her check ride.
Wow.
So you're looking at a woman, and you're saying you didn't get hired at an airline because they were only hiring women?
Women.
If you don't stop the lies and the fact that you probably said something that was disturbing to the recruiter that they did not want to bring you on board, it's okay. Right. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, your delusion is sick if you think that you didn't get hired because they were only hiring women. Why wouldn't there be half women and half men at this point?
Right.
Women make up less than 10%.
I was going to say, because even white women, I don't think it's a big percentage of the overall pilots.
They don't make up a lot. And if you look at all the class dates, let's put the pictures side by side. Okay?
Yeah. I just looked at Endeavor's yesterday. Yeah, Endeavor I look at that kind of stuff too, obviously. I know Endeavor just posted one of their most recent class graduations. It's either yesterday or the day before. I don't think there was anybody black in that class that I saw. And I think there might have been one or two females, maybe.
I think at this rate, there is still going to be a male-dominated industry, and that's okay. Yeah. We don't mind it, but don't sit there and knock the people coming up and saying, oh, you got this because you're a DEI hire. No, I got this because I worked hard, and I'm qualified. Yeah. What are you? How are you qualified? Tell me your stats. What you got going on?
Yeah, we just want an equal opportunity to get to the interview. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not asking for an easier route to get there. I just want the same opportunity to be interviewed. You know what I mean?
But you're wrong for saying that too, because then you're saying, oh, so these people don't go out of their way to make it fair for you to interview. And it's like, yeah, that's why there are departments of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah, yeah.
So they
You
don't
can't.
skip everyone else.
Mm-hmm. But like anything else, like to your last point, change takes time, and I do see it changing.
Yeah.
Slow, but it is changing. But that's why it takes us, right, doing what we're doing now, coming together and talking about these things, going
Yeah.
to these events, OBAP, and seeking out these scholarships, these grants, and us using our platform, and then putting the people coming behind us in position to be able to do what they do. Right?
Yeah. And I just hope that a lot of these departments are putting into place bias trainings, because
Yeah.
some people don't even realize they have a lot of unconscious biases
Bias.
that they
Yeah.
don't even
Exactly.
realize they have.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's unconscious and sometimes conscious.
Yeah.
When it's unconscious, they're in positions of power where they make decisions. They can affect a lot of other people's lives because they don't even know, oh, I am like making it so like, we're not going to look here, 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 and here. When, when they realize that,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, let me pay attention to that, I'm like, okay, we can bring in
Right.
all of these different individuals and we can just actually recruit with a diversity mindset.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So let's look to the future. So speaking of things changing and working towards the better, right? So what do you see, in the future of aviation, right? In particular, how are you preparing, your students to be part of that future as far as integration and more diversity being in aviation?
Oof. Um, I always get in these places where it's like, man, it's taken so long to get to the other end. So my future, hopefully, is me continuing to teach for the rest of the school year, get to endeavor eventually, and be able to go back to ACE and Murrow and all the organizations I'm a part of and recruit and say, this is where we're looking for people now. We're going to look in all of these places that have not been tapped before and are starting to get tapped actually. But we're going to maybe look at the high school level and go, how can we get you set up so by the time that you graduate high school, your route is coming here.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope I can definitely affect my students in that way, and I can definitely keep on going back and
Yeah,
pulling them to where I am.
yeah, that's important. That's huge.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, so we'll shift gears one last time before I get ready to get you up out of here. I got a question for you. So outside of being an instructor and flying, you got any other projects or anything that you're working on right now that you care to talk about, whether it be with your company, Melanated Aviators, or any private organizations? Like what's on the horizon?
All right. So we already kind of talked about what's on the horizons for Melanated Aviators. We got to
Right.
get that resume ebook out.
Yep. 2025.
Yes, I have not thrown an actual event in a while. My little coffee meetup was great. So you will see in 2025. I want to do a celebration event. I want us
Okay.
to celebrate getting ratings or starting new positions or whatever. Everybody gets to come in and celebrate themselves because we don't celebrate the small wins. We're just like, next rating, next rating, next rating.
Yeah.
And we never get to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to celebrate. We're going to have a celebration event. And my goal is to get to the airlines by 2025. So I
Okay.
can come back to you and say, look, I did it finally.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that'd be huge. We definitely got to do that. We'll definitely kind of reconvene and get you up here with the airline pilot
Oh,
uniform on, and yeah, that's gonna be big.
I'm praying. I'm praying.
Okay. All right, Kat. So we'll get ready to wrap this up, and we'll kind of do a little rapid fire section that I call clear for the option.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of just something fun for the viewers, maybe any of your kids, your students watching this, just to kind of know, some of your likes, things that you like, and kind of compare contrast. But I'll kind of pose a question, and you just say the first thing that comes to mind, and it's just like a little fun game, and
Okay.
then we'll get you up out of here. So with that, you're cleared for the option. Um, what's your favorite airplane?
Cessna 172.
172. Okay. Uh, Part 141 or 61?
61 all day.
61 all day. Well, shoot, you kind of answered this one. I was gonna say low wing or high wing. Uh, what's your favorite? What's your favorite training to instruct?
Um. First, instrument.
Instrument. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite flight you've ever taken?
To Haiti with my dad.
Oh, okay.
Before the earthquake, I got to visit it, and when I was 18, before I went to college, it was an amazing experience. I loved it.
Nice. What about your favorite flight where you were actually at the controls?
Okay, one of my favorite flights was flying to St. Simon's and being over the water.
Okay.
That was fun.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. We kind of talked about this, more challenging adult or teenage learners.
Ooh. Adults.
Adults. What was the easiest rating you got?
Double I.
I know none of them are easy, but what was the least challenging?
Double I.
Double. Wow. Okay.
CF double I. That was easy.
Okay. What was your most challenging?
Instrument. Well, the training was the most challenging. The check ride was easy, actually, because I was so on point.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did 100 hours to instrument. So I was flying.
Yeah.
And this was during COVID when we were off and we was getting a little $600 check.
Oh, the STEMI? Yeah. Yep.
I was happy. The training was hard though. But that check ride, my DP was like, "Oh, you know everything. You're good."
Yeah. Yeah, you were like more than prepared, I'm sure. Okay. And the last thing I got for you, which I always ask everyone, but what's the most important piece of advice for someone looking to make a career change into aviation? What you got for them?
Do the preparation, do the research, and focus on yourself. It's really, really hard to realize or to only focus on your route, but it's you against you, and everyone else doesn't matter. Focus on your journey, and if you prepare like you need to and you keep yourself centered, you'll be fine.
I like it. So yeah, focus on yourself, keep your eyes on the prize, and take it a day at a time.
Yes, do that research.
Yeah, research it. I like it. But with that, yeah, you're clear to land, and that was it. So yeah, once again, definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your time with me today. I learned a lot. You definitely dropped some things on me that I didn't even know about. So
good.
I'm real big on learning, man. I'm kind of a bookworm. So
come on,
anytime
books.
I have the opportunity to learn something that I like being able to do that. So as far as closing remarks, last minute plugs for you. So anybody that wants to follow along with Kat and her journey as she prepares to enter to the airlines in 2025, you can find her on Instagram at Kat the Melanated Aviator, and her business account is Melanated Aviators, right?
Yes, and check out the website, melanataviators.com.
Okay, will do. And yeah, I'll definitely be looking at that because I got to get some OPAP. I'm serious about that. I got to get that OPAP information from you.
Yes.
As far as myself, Ricky, you can find me on Instagram at positive.rate.aviation. So with that concludes episode 10. Kat, thank you again. This was a lot of fun, and looking forward to this one coming out. And once again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. And Thanks for watching.
Happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa.